So I want you to give him a round of applause to welcome him here.
Hi everybody, thank you so much. And may I first say, as a British person born and bred, how proud and humbled I am to be part of this really impressive and really moving demonstration that you're having here today and that you're having every day here. And I hope that the demonstration tomorrow, which I know is going to be the big one, is really, really huge. So I'd like to urge everyone who can to come back tomorrow and be part of that. So I'm going to speak for just a few minutes to take a step back to ask a question behind this conflict, which is, where does Putin's power come from? I want to put it to you that it comes from two places, really. Firstly, it comes obviously from his military power, and secondly, it comes from his petro power. I'll come back to the petro power in a minute, but firstly, let me make a point about what lies behind the military power. 60% of Russian government revenues come from fossil fuels. So actually, all of his power basically is petro power. Russia is a petro state. Without the income it has from fossil fuels, it's nothing. It wouldn't have a tenth of the power that it has in the world today. So that means that it is absolutely crucial to cut off that power at its source. Now I've got something a bit disturbing to tell you, which is that Greenpeace found yesterday that there are 65 Russian supertankers with oil or gas in them still on their way to Western countries such as the US and the UK and some other European countries. The sanctions against Russia have not been fully extended to the fossil fuel sector, which is by far the most important sector of them all, as I've just said, with regard to Russia. So what I'm saying to you is, the people in there, the people in Downing Street, are essentially allowing Putin to continue to have the power that comes from the funds that he gets from those fossil fuels. And that is completely unacceptable. And if we're going to stop this man, we need to cut that power off at its source. And there's something else, of course, which is that the power that Putin has from all those fossil fuels, it doesn't just come from the money he gets from them. It's also from the implied blackmail. European countries are terrified at losing Russian fossil fuels because they depend upon them. That has to change. And one of the few things that we have going for us in this horrific situation that Putin has landed us all in is that it is spring. So while people are suffering horribly right now in Ukraine, imagine what it'd be like in the middle of winter if we're still in the same situation with no power to homes, etc. Right? And Putin's blackmail will work best when it comes to winter. So there is something absolutely imperative that we have to do. We have to cut off his power at source as soon as possible. That means stopping and turning around those supertankers right now, and it also means getting off fossil fuels, getting off the fossil addiction, so that when it comes to next winter, he's not able to hold Europe over a barrel. Because that is exactly what he's intending to do. He's intending to blackmail countries like Germany and this country and the United States and say, if you get tough on us, we are going to cut off your fossil fuels. So we have to get off those fossil fuels, and we have to do it as quickly as possible. And that is the way to actually cut off Putin's power at source. Now, what are we going to replace those fossil fuels with? Should we use homegrown fossil fuels from here? Well, obviously that would be a climate disaster. Also, it would take too long. It would take way too long. It takes years, decades for new fossil fuels to come online. Should we use nuclear power? Well, you've already heard how that would be an insane thing to do. The last thing the world needs right now is more nuclear power stations ready to be threatened in potential military conflicts. What we have to do is get serious about green renewable energy and get serious about using less power and using and wasting less energy. Every house that we insulate now, for example, right? In the UK, a third of houses have no loft insulation. That might sound very remote. That might sound very remote from the Ukraine crisis, but it's actually not. If we insulate those houses, we start to reduce the power that Putin has. We start to reduce his blackmail hold over us. So it might not sound very glamorous, but actually this is a crucial part of what we're going to do if we're going to win this probably protracted conflict which is now underway. The heroic resistance that people in Ukraine are showing means that the quick win that Putin was counting on is not happening. So we have to start now to turn around those super tankers. And we have to start now to plan for using those next 6 months before the winter gets near, to enable countries like this one to no longer be dependent on Russian fossil fuels. And then, when Putin turns around come this autumn and says, right, give us what we want, or we're going to cut off your fossil fuels, we're going to cut off your gas and oil, we'll be able to turn around to him and say, fuck off, we don't need it anymore. Yeah? And I put it to you, and I'm going to use, again, very unparliamentary language, I apologize. I put it to you that part of the way that we have to fuck Putin is to be able to tell him to fuck off by saying, fuck off to your fossil fuels. We're going to get off Russian oil and gas. We're going to stop you from being able to sell it anywhere in the world. Already some really excellent workers in this country have refused to unload Russian oil at a number of ports. Yeah, that's brilliant. We need more of that. We need this government to get its act together and actually stop the Russian oil and gas from coming here. And we need everybody to pull together to turn around our entire economy so that when the autumn comes, when the winter comes, and I hope and I pray that Ukraine is still standing then, we'll be able to say to Putin, fuck off, you don't have any power over us anymore. Thank you very much.
And let me tell you this. By winter, Ukraine not only will be standing, Ukraine will be proudly glorifying its victory. Well, I'm sure it will, but we just need to stand here and support Ukraine.